Harvest happens every day here in the summer, getting orders ready for customers and prepping for the farmers market. So Danelle, obviously you're picking tomatoes. I can tell that. I can discern that, right? But are you getting a customer order pulled, or are you getting ready for market, or what's going on?
Well, tomatoes are just starting, and so usually what I do is the first week or two, I kind of save them all for the farmers market because everybody's dying for that first tomato. You know? And so, yeah, we're early in the week now, but we go ahead and start harvesting them. That way they don't get too far along and they can hold in the pack shed for market a couple of days later. So yeah, we're getting them for the farmers market, and we'll kind of stockpile them, and then that way we'll be ready to go. Because if we were to wait on and harvest the tomatoes on farmers market day, we would not be able to get it all done. So,
do you grow a lot of different varieties here? What variety is this one, for example?
Yeah, so this is called Estiva. It's a hybrid tomato. And this was another thing that I didn't want to do when I started the farm. I was like, I'm only going to grow heirloom tomatoes because they're so delicious. And then people would come to the farmer's market and they would say, well, where are the red tomatoes? Because we'd have pinks or purples or whatever, you know? So we started growing this several years ago, and it's just a really nice, reliable variety. It plucks right off of the vine. It holds well in the crate. It holds well in the pack shed. It travels well to market. So this is our tried and true red hybrid tomato.
And we're going down a row. I see quite a few tomatoes down here. Do you have a lot of tomato plants, and do you grow different varieties still of tomatoes though? Yeah, we do. So we've cut back over the years. I think one year we had 800 tomato plants, and this is only like 150 to 200 maybe. So we really have cut back. But yes, so now we're down to about like 50% heirloom, 50% hybrid. And on the heirlooms, I like to do a little bit of color. So we'll do black heirlooms, golds, pinks. And I have some favorite varieties with those too. Like German pink is amazing. Kellogg's breakfast is a nice yellow one. Gold medal is a nice yellow one. Yeah, and then cherries as well. Once we pick the tomatoes, we also grab some beets. Then it's time to wash them off. So everything that you pick here obviously has to be cleaned, washed, before you can move it on down the road, right?
Yeah, there's very little that we don't wash, just because washing not only gets it clean, but it also cools it down. And then cooling it down as fast as you can gets out the field heat, and then it helps with shelf life of everything.
How do you go about learning some of these different things, like making sure that these get cooled down quick?
So, you know, you read a lot of things and you hear a lot of things, and then you don't do them, and then you see why. And it's like, oh, that's why they say to do X, Y, and Z. But in terms of like keeping things cool, I think that was actually one thing that I kind of got from the get-go. And I think the hardest thing is explaining it to everybody else who works out here, because it's not, I don't think it's a really logical, innate thing that you're like, oh, I've got to get this cold as fast as possible and get it in the cooler as fast as possible, because it's just a lot of hard work, and you're thinking, oh gosh, I need to cut 5 pounds of chives right now, or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, and then I guess, you know, we know to harvest in the morning, but every once in a while we'll harvest in the afternoon, and then we remind ourselves why. I mean, even just a little bit ago we were working on some herbs, and it's like, let's just wait till tomorrow morning, because it's just not a good time.
Yeah, the sun is not your friend at certain times, right?
No, nope. And even just plain heat, you know? Yeah, because even someone will be bagging in the pack shed, and just being in the pack shed and sitting there for an hour, it's like, those need to go in the cooler, even though they're not in the sun, you know? It just needs to get cold as fast as possible.
Yeah. Lessons learned.
Yep.